George R.R. Martin is the master of foreshadowing, with intricate clues woven into his A Song of Ice and Fire novels paying off years after they were first hidden in plain sight. And just because the brains behind Game of Thrones aren't relying on George's source material anymore, that doesn't mean they haven't dropped a few clues as to how the series will eventually end. We've watched and rewatched Season 7's epic finale to look for hanging threads that might end up being super significant when the show ends. Here's what we, and our maesters, uncovered, related, Game of Thrones Season 8 release date, episodes, spoilers, filming and everything you need to know. 1. Theon Greyjoy will have a big part to play. HBO first. Theon got a pep talk from Jon that explained he was definitely both a Greyjoy and a Stark, and, as Game of Thrones is the story of the Starks, that's significant. Then he won a brutal scrap which allowed him to lead the Ironborn in a mission to rescue his sister Yara. But what does this mean for Theon? Well, we're going to focus more on his Stark heritage, because we think the Yara rescue mission is a bit of a misdirect. Sure, he'll go off and get his sister back, but we expect Theon to be back in Winterfell for GOT's final episode. The story will end where it began, with all the surviving Starks coming together, and, yes, that includes Theon. We'd also bet several gold dragons that he'll make a heroic self-sacrifice in the Season 8 finale, as moving from braggart to coward to honorable hero makes the most sense for this character's journey. 2. Bran will uncover some information at the last minute that saves everyone. HBO Yes, we've complained about how crap Bran was in Season 7. But that doesn't mean he won't be an important part of Season 8. Mostly because he sort of has to be. The youngest surviving Stark has clearly been kept in reserve for a big moment, and we suspect the writers will hold that back until the very last episode. In the finale, we saw Sam and Bran join forces to uncover important information about Jon's parentage, so expect the same pair to provide an essential weakness in the Night King's armor in the Season 8 closer. And we know that the Night King is targeting an individual this season, most likely Bran. 3. Daenerys will die. HBO After weeks of lingering looks, Jon and Dany finally got romantic in the Season 7 closer, which may well make Dany the love of Jon's life. Sorry Ygritte, sorry Ghost. If that's the case, expect him to plunge his sword into her heart to fulfill the Azor Ahai prophecy, which requires a hero to kill his true love in order to save the day. We're pretty sure Jon's the prince who was promised, and that's a reveal that'll surely be saved for the finale. Dany's legacy will be as the savior of Westeros, not its ruler. It'll be tragic, it'll be tear-jerking, it'll happen. 4. The Iron Throne will melt. HBO This is a bit of a reach, but bear with us. Season 7 ended with a Night King melting one of the biggest symbols of the series, the Wall. The only thing bigger? The Iron Throne. It's the most iconic thing in the show, the ultimate target for several key characters, so wouldn't it be a massive shock if it got destroyed by a zombie dragon? The Night King will make it to King's Landing, and he'll melt the throne. We're not sure if it'll happen in the finale, but it will happen, with the consequences of this symbol of the monarchy being destroyed being felt in the penultimate scene, when our surviving heroes, Jon, Tyrion, Arya, Yara, possibly Sansa, agree to rule in a democratic coalition of leaders, instead of through one all-powerful king, queen. Remember Daenerys' vision in the House of the Undying of the throne room reduced to ash? 5. Cersei's baby games. HBO The finale contained yet another reference to Cersei's baby, which will be a significant plotline in the final season. We don't expect the little one to make it to the end of the series, though, sadly. Cersei was told by a prophet that she would have 3 kids and no more, so, either she miscarries or she's killed before the baby is born. We predict the former, with Cersei losing the baby but pretending to still be pregnant to Jaime, using her situation to manipulate him. When he finds out, expect him to go crazy, fulfill the Valonqar prophecy and become the Queen's Lair. 6. Jon and Daenerys will have a child. HBO. Speaking of babies, Dany's inability to have a child was mentioned throughout Season 7, so you can bet she'll be pregnant by Jon in the early stages of Season 8. Could this add an extra element of tragedy to the finale? Azor Ahai has to plunge a sword into the willing heart of a true love. What if Jon's true love is his firstborn, and he has to stick his sword into Dany's stomach, killing both his baby and its mother? Grim, but exactly the sort of nasty stuff that Game of Thrones revels in, so we wouldn't be surprised to see this happening in the final episode. 7's Sansa could die. HBO. Yep, we know, this is a big call, but what's left for Sansa to do in Winterfell? As tragic as it is, Sansa's narrative thread has been dominated by Littlefinger. Even when she overcame Ramsay, Littlefinger was lurking in the shadows, ready to manipulate her again. Now he's finally dead, punished for all of his crimes against her and the Starks. We're not sure what Sansa's purpose is in Season 8 other than to provide a shock death. There's a chance she could carry on as Lady of Winterfell while Jon's off saving the world, becoming the eventual King of Westeros, but it'll be a more interesting twist to give Arya that role. She was seen to be intrigued by the position in Season 7 and